Richard Evans from the Malthouse Group, and I'm here today to talk to you about planning, but not the standard planning that you've been used to. You know, where you plan every year, you do your budgets, and you do a whole bunch of things in terms of working out your business plan, etc. There's a number of steps that I believe, with all the work that I've done, that you need to do a little bit of strategic work prior to talking about your plan, and that is to get into understanding what your community of purpose is. Now, I've run 3 national organisations. I've run some regional organisations. I've been a senior manager in major corporates in Australia, and I've also been a federal politician. So I've been specialising in member associations now for over 30 years. And this has given me an understanding of what the key requirements are when it comes to business planning. And I've come down to the 3 R's and the AMENO principle. Now the 3 R's, there's 3 R's in anything that we've got. And I mean, for instance, in education, it's reading, writing and arithmetic. Not that spelling was great in those days, but reading, writing and arithmetic. In local council, for instance, it's rates, roads and rubbish. But within member associations, my belief that there is 3 R's. R plus R equals R. So the first R, I think, is reputation. Now, reputation is all about your brand, how it's perceived by your members, how it's perceived by your marketplace, how it's perceived by your sponsors, and it's whether or not it has influence, profile within the marketplace. It's very important to have it. Without a good reputation, you're not going to be able to achieve much at all. The second R, reputation plus relevance. Unless you're relevant to the current market, your members, and indeed the stakeholders, then you have no influence at all, because people will move away from you. Members will move away from you. So reputation plus relevance equals the third R, which is revenue. Revenue becomes very important because a not-for-profit member association sometimes think that we shouldn't be operating in profit. It's not for loss. That's what member associations should be focused on. And why do we need revenue? We need revenue to build our reputation. We need revenue to build our relevance. But our revenue should not just come from our members. It should come from other stakeholders, such as our sponsors, such as our programs that we can in fact sell to the marketplace. And it may in fact come from government spending. So this idea of community purpose with the 3 R's, reputation plus relevance equals revenue, then links down into more strategic framework, the AMENO principle. AMENO principle. Not amino acids going into you, but the AMENO principle. So I want to talk to you today about some of these AMENO principles and how you should be thinking about giving yourself an AMENO test, if you like, on whether or not you're actively involved in these particular issues. We're coming down, this is the framework for the 3 R's. A is advocacy. Now you might raise your head and say, oh gosh, advocacy, why do we need to be advocates? Well, a community of purpose primarily is pushing a policy, an idea, a culture in some sort of way, and that's called advocacy. Not just to politicians, not just to government, but also the market. Very important to be strong advocates within the market, and also strong advocates with your members. You have to be consciously and constantly advocating within the marketplace to your members and also to government. Let me ask you this. Have you met your minister? And if you haven't met your minister, then the question then to ask is, why haven't you? Why haven't you spent the time to go and see your minister? You don't need to go and ask him for money, or her for money for that matter. You don't need to go and ask her for support. What you need to do is go and explain to her or him about the reason and the purpose of why you exist. Similar to the marketplace, they need to know that you're actively involved. So advocacy becomes quite important. The M in AMENO is for members. Have you got a strong membership communication program? Have you got a strong membership recruitment program? Have you got a strong membership retention program? If you haven't, then perhaps you should start thinking about this prior to your strategic plan so you can build some frameworks around your members. They are vital. They're the ones that will attract the sponsorship. They're the ones that will attract your reputation and relevance. They're the ones that need to join your organisation, and you need to have a strategic plan based around your members. So it's advocacy, members, and E. E is for education. Education to your members, to the market, to your stakeholders. Education becomes a prime framework for you to think about. So here's a question for you. Do you have an education platform? Do you have an education framework? Do you have online access for information and education? If you haven't, think about it within your strategic planning. This is a framework for your strategic planning. Think about including education. N then on the AMENO, advocacy, members, education. N becomes networking. Your members as a community of purpose want to come together in a networking process. You have to then start thinking about strategically bringing them together. How do you do that? Well, you do it with social media. You do it with events. You do it with some community of knowledge within your Facebook program and intranets where people can communicate and talk to each other easily. It's a great thing that you can actually network. So build that into your strategy. Advocacy, members, education, networking, and O. O is for operations. Too many organisations, I think, don't spend a lot of time on really understanding how their operations are and what they should be building their operations. Some, in fact, don't maximise their opportunities with their revenues to, in fact, build their operations. So what I'm suggesting to you is that not just build a business plan around your operations, which is important, but have a look at these 5 processes. Operations is your staff, is your occupancy, it's everything associated with the back office, including the management of your board. Advocacy, members, education, networking, operations is the framework to build your reputation, to build your relevance, and to get more revenue. With more revenue, what that means is that you can increase your profile by building your reputation and your relevance. If you build your reputation and relevance, you have greater influence in your marketplace. That means you can affect and impact policy, you can affect and impact the community, and you can have a greater influence at the things that you do. Your community of purpose is a framework to think about before your strategic plan based upon your operations. Don't just think operations. Think the entire framework: reputation, relevance, and revenue. AMENO, advocacy, members, education, networking, operations. Planning is never easy. Planning is hard. Strategic planning is even harder. But these are things, vital things, that we need to do on a regular basis. But if you have a framework, a purpose, then it'll be much easier for you. So when you start your planning, strategic planning this year, think about this framework. It will help you. Well, that's it for this particular session. And remember, I've got a amino acid test below for you to go through, for you to have a look at and reflect upon some of the things I think should be some focus within your strategic plan. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. But here's something. Have a look at it, see if it works for you, so when you do your strategic plan, work on the framework. R plus R equals R and the AMENO principles. Now remember this, always be authentic and be who you are. Be honest with the things you say and be excited with the things that you do. And until next time, we'll see you soon.